Welcome back to another Story Tim. We're in this section of these videos. I'm talking about some of my favorite stories from back in shooting news for 5 years at WTOC in Savannah, Georgia. You know, one of my favorite things to shoot was soldiers and cops, firefighters. I like the special forces kind of guys, and some of my favorite stuff was working with soldiers. One of the awards I won was doing a training session with the Rangers, who are very high-speed guys. They're some of the best special forces in the world. I remember rappelling down things with my camera going down upside down and stuff. It was an awesome piece of business. And then another shoot that I did with the Special Forces guys was out at Fort Irwin, where we had gone to cover the training exercises. Jim Carswell and I, when we were covering the tank warfare stuff, the guys were going out there to fight a Desert Storm, and that was an awesome shoot too. And then another one that was very meaningful to me was when the soldiers returned home from Desert Storm. Now, Fort Stewart was the home of the largest tank infantry that had gone to Desert Storm and had gone to Iraq and it was stationed in Saudi Arabia. In fact, I was supposed to go and cover that with Mike Manhattan, who was one of our anchors there, but I'd gotten literally 17 different shots and everything. I had about $1,000 of the medicine in my butt, my arms, but it kept being postponed and postponed. When we were finally waiting for air traffic transport to go over there. And when we were finally cleared to go, I wasn't able to go because Jesse was getting ready to be born. And I said, there's no way I'm going to go be out there in the middle of the desert when my son is being born. Sorry. So I missed out on that opportunity, bad luck. But I was there when Jesse was born, which was one of the best experiences of my life. So that was awesome. But I did get to cover when all the guys came home. And they were the first soldiers to come back from the war, the ones that would be transported into Fort Stewart, which is just outside of Savannah, about 45 minutes near Hinesville, Georgia. And I remember I went out there and I had my live truck, and then there was probably at least 30 satellite trucks that were there. All the major news stations were there. I mean, it was just like a circus of media. Of course, you know, we were the local big boys. I mean, our station was the #1 station by far. I mean, back in those days in the early 90s, you remember how popular Bill Cosby was? I mean, that was like everybody watched that on Thursday night. We had like 3 times more people would watch us every night than would watch Bill Cosby. So we were just far and away the big boys in the area. And so we did get some special privileges when we were shooting that, because we were the local channel and it was actually what the guys from Fort Stewart actually watched. So I can remember going out there and shooting these guys, and at that time, I don't know if you remember that song, "Proud to be an American, for at least we know we're free," and all this, you know, it was very patriotic stuff. And, you know, seeing these guys come back from the war, which I think we can actually say we actually won that war, you know, we kicked Saddam's ass and that thing, you know, we're still trying to deal with Iraq and Afghanistan now, which is like 16 years later. But, you know, at that time, it was some very powerful emotions with Americans coming back and, you know, seeing these soldiers come and, you know, seeing their wives and their children and all this crying and just so happy. And God, it was just incredibly powerful, all this patriotic music going and stuff, and us shooting all these things and doing these interviews. And just one of the most powerful events of my life, really. You know, really seeing these guys that were really true heroes, you know. And I can remember, you know, you try to be objective and all this stuff. You know, I was a hardcore news guy. I'd seen everything. Had been shot at and punched and nearly burned alive and hung out of helicopters and all this stuff. But boy, I was a real softy with that stuff. And I remember having a difficult time focusing because I couldn't see, you know, out my viewfinder, because I'd be in there, this is so beautiful, man. You know, anyway, it still kind of chokes me up even thinking about it now. But, you know, I do really give it up for our military. You know, they're doing a very difficult job. And even right now, when out there in Afghanistan and Iraq, you know, they're doing the best they can. And very difficult situation. And I tell you what, I really am. I'm proud to be American. I don't know whether, I agree with everything that our government does or has done in the past, but I could tell you the Army guys that I worked with, man, they were some of the best, and I'm proud to be associated with you. And that was another story, Tim.